It's time for the Savvy Realtor Podcast. I'm Walter Storholt alongside Angie Cole, the owner and broker in charge of A. Cole Realty, serving you throughout the Triangle, teaching you about the ins and outs when it comes to buying or selling a home. You can find the team online by going to acolerealty.com. That's A-C-O-L-E realty.com, or by calling 919-578-3128. That's 919-578-3128. And now it's time for one of the top realtors in the Triangle, Angie Cole, and the Savvy Realtor Podcast. Time to get to know Angie Cole a little bit better on today's program. This is the Savvy Realtor. Angie, the person we talk to each week here on the program, and sometimes we just like to get to know her personality a little bit better. Today, we're going to get to know her cravings, potentially. Angie, I'm curious, what's the best meal you've ever had?
That's such a tough one for me. First of all, because I love to eat, and I'm not super picky either. So to me...
It's a different question, though, than like your favorite food.
Yeah, right.
Best meal.
Yeah, that's a tough one. But I would say when I was in New York, I went to a place that's called Beauty in Essex, which I believe they have more than one. You actually, to get into the restaurant, you walk through a pawn shop.
Really?
And the restaurant is behind the pawn shop.
And
the pawn shop's, actually an active, working pawn shop. But, at Beauty in Essex.
It's kind of like when you go to Angus Barn to the wine cellar. Have you ever been back there and you walk through the kitchen and down the little castle staircase and that kind of thing?
But the pawn shop's on a whole nother level.
Different level.
A little bit different. But at Beauty in Essex, they serve mostly the small plates. And so it's more of like family style sharing, I would say, in the sense that, everyone, picks a couple of small plates to share. But the menu is absolutely just delicious. Beyond, I would say, like the meal that you're eating too, just the atmosphere is super, super cool. Mm-hmm. They have really trendy music playing in the background. It's a little bit darker, just really a hip place, but the meal is amazing. So if you're ever in New York, check out Beauty in Essex. And like I said, I'm pretty positive they have one in another state as well. That's
pretty cool. I would say I've got two. One was my grandma for Christmas one year made, they live in Maine, so lobster country. She made an absolutely amazing lobster stew. Ooh. I mean, we're talking like full claws popping up out of the stew.
Wow.
And the broth just smelled so good.
I love lobster.
You didn't even want to eat it because it just smelled so good.
I don't want to ruin this delicacy.
My uncle and I are next to each other with our faces over top of the bowl going... Blah, 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 blah. Just soaking it all in. It was just, to this day, the most amazing thing I've ever eaten. But best, overall meal, we had hiked something like 9 miles. We got lost on the hike. It was supposed to be like a 4-mile hike. We got lost, ended up being like a 9-mile hike up in Virginia. I think it was in near Blacksburg. And there's this place, I think it's called the Farmhouse. And it's in an old 1800s house. Yeah. That kind of like Second Empire downtown Raleigh, which is like you're in
I haven't been there in a while.
Oh, yeah. Where you're in a house, eating dinner. But it's all family style. The whole thing is family style food. And it probably was because of the long hike, but it was the best food I've ever
probably
had.
Because you were starving.
And we were starving.
Where was this located?
I think it's outside of Blacksburg. It's kind of just off of a country road. And it was amazing.
A lot of times those just middle of nowhere, mom and pops kind of places are the best meals ever. Ever. So
it was a good spot, that's for sure. So if you're ever up in that way, look for the Farmhouse. I believe that's what it was called, and you'll be very full when you walk out of there.
That's great.
Well, cool. Thanks for sharing that, Angie. That was pretty neat. We like talking about food on the show. If you've listened for any length of time, we always bring the topic back that direction. We'll take it back to the real estate talk, though, coming up next. This is, after all, the Savvy Realtor with Angie Cole, and there's more around the corner.
Make your home stand out from the crowd. It's time for Stage This House with Amber Cole of Stage Presence.
Amber, we have a question this week from Jan in Morrisville. Jan says, we have a few kids. It's hard to imagine decluttering the home and still living in it. What do you do for families in our situation?
That is a very typical problem that we come across with sellers. It's very common. I mean, you live in your home. Mm-hmm. So the biggest thing that I recommend is, I'm going to work with you. I'm going to help you to figure out what we need to take out and what we need to keep. And we're going to talk about things like putting them in baskets, putting them in things that have lids that we can cover up, really paring down as much as possible. I want your kids to be comfortable in your home. They need to be able to play there and live there. At the same time, though, if they're not playing with certain toys, go ahead and pack them up, move them to a storage unit, put them in the attic. Go ahead and get those things out of the space if they're not using them. If it's things that they still use, we definitely will work with you and help you try to maintain some of the stuff. You've got a kid that has their band equipment. They play it every day sitting there. We're going to work with that and stage a little section of a room to be a music space and make it look great. Those are some of the things that we can do to help work with sellers.
You've talked in previous segments over the course of, doing these features, Amber, about if you have pets, making sure that they don't exist. We don't have to go that far with the kids, right? We can pretend they exist.
I'm going to let those little kids stay. Absolutely.
It's so important to stage your home properly. Doing it wrong can ruin the first impressions of buyers who come through the door. This can cost you valuable time and money, but if you get it right, it can help your home sell on time at the best possible price. We get questions like the one Amber just answered all the time at A. Realty, and we're happy to answer them, but realize that it's very important we customize your answers based on your home because every home is unique. So here's what we're going to do. As a thank you for listening to our show today, we'd like to offer you a free staging consultation. If you call or text us right now, we'll set aside time on our calendar to come meet with you in your home for a free consultation. We'll show you how you can improve the layout of your home, best position furniture, wall art, and all those kind of things to make your home sell fast and for top dollar. Just text the word staging to 919-538-6477 to schedule your complimentary consultation. Just put the word staging into the message field and text it to 919-538-6477. And if you prefer to call, that's fine too. Just use the same number, 919-538-6477. That's 919-538-6477.
Buying a home is a daunting task. Don't miss out on key information that will help you along the way. It's the Buying Blitz with Vicki DiProfio of A. Cole Realty.
Larry's writing in from Fuquay with this week's question for you, Vicki. Larry says, what is there to know about buying a home as is? I'm looking at one online that doesn't look bad from the pictures, but it comes with this warning in the description, sold as is. What am I missing?
Well, Larry's probably not missing much of anything because technically all homes in North Carolina are sold as is. But however, there is a due diligence period where our buyers are getting home inspections. And if we find things in the home inspection that aren't functioning in the manner they were intended to function, then we go back to the seller and ask for a repair. The seller does not have to make the repair, but I always tell my buyers it behooves the seller to make the repair because if we've pointed it out to them, let's say, for instance, they have a leaky roof. And they say, well, I'm not going to fix the roof. And we walk away during our due diligence period. Now that we've made them aware of that, it technically becomes a material fact of the home. All homes are technically sold as is.
Okay, so they would, in just in that one particular case, now on the listing, they would have to identify leaky roof or something like that.
That's exactly right. And, I always say to my buyers, if we found it, the next buyer's probably going to find it. So we go ahead and put it out there and ask for the repair to be made. So
if someone's really specifying in the listing sold as is, does it just mean that you're probably working with a seller who's very unwilling to make any repairs? That you're don't go into this with eyes wide open that you're not going to have a lot of wiggle room.
That's exactly right. Just make sure that you do a very thorough home inspection and you know what you're getting yourself into.
And also maybe try and limit your due diligence dollars, knowing that you may run into some problems too.
That's exactly right.
So if you're thinking about purchasing a home and you want to understand the next steps, it's a great guide that you can receive from start to finish and to take you through the home buying process. You can text the word contract to the phone number 555-888. So once again, to receive a downloadable home buying guide to your smartphone, just text the word contract to the phone number 555-888.
It's time for the mailbag. We want to hear from you.
Well, Angie, it's time to open up the mailbag and get some questions from listeners here in the area. And our first stop is going to be with Travis in Raleigh. If you'd like to submit questions to maybe be featured on the show, you can do that on acolerealty.com. Travis says, I've developed a disability that will bound me to a wheelchair for the rest of my life, unfortunately. My current home isn't suited for someone who is disabled, but how do you go about searching for a home that is handicap-friendly?
Travis, that's actually very easy for us. So in our MLS database, there is actually a feature or a drop-down where we can put in that the home is handicap accessible. So I know that that is a must for you, and we can definitely take care of that by doing a home search specific for your needs, just to make sure, there is access to get into the home easily, the doors have been widened, just different tweaks and features to a home to make sure that the home is conducive to your situation.
So that's pretty cool. I guess it's just on the responsibility of the agent, the listing agent, to make sure that they're checking that box so that buyers can be aware of those searches.
Yeah, because as an actual home buyer, if you're just searching online, there is no way for you to go through the listings in like Zillow or Realtor.com and tweak the search so it's specific to handicap accessibility.
Interesting.
But through our MLS database, of course, we do have that feature so we can narrow down your search very easily for you to make sure we're only sending you those, type of homes.
One of the great examples of why it's important to work with a realtor to make sure that you're looking at the proper homes that do indeed match what you need to search, that meet those needs and those wants in a home. And whether that's from a disability standpoint or another need or want that you have, it's very helpful to have that outside guidance from a realtor. Thanks for the question, Travis. Again, you can go to acolerealty.com to submit your questions or give Angie and the team a call or text at 919-538-6477. Amy in Durham is curious. Amy says, we've had a couple of acres of land in our family for many years. I think I'd like to go ahead and sell it. Are there special real estate agents to work with for selling land instead of a home? And what's different about the process?
So, Amy, many real estate agents, they do both, but definitely those are good questions to ask to make sure that the real estate agent that you plan to work with is familiar with selling land, because it is a whole different ball game. But as far as the process goes, I would say it's more on the buy side as far as doing their due diligence when it comes to buying land. So that means that they might need to perform perk tests, get surveys. Also, when it comes to selling land, though, we do need to know and understand the best use possible for the land, just because that will completely change the value. So you cannot just say, okay, we have an acre here, and right next, door down the street, they sold their land at this, amount per acre. But what if our lot is not even usable to be built on?
Okay.
That completely changes the value of our land. So,
or zoning, like commercial versus residential?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So typically, if it's zoned, commercial, or where some type of commercial or industrial building can be built on the lot, your value just skyrocketed versus residential because, the change of the use there. So, once again, when it comes to selling, land, many agents do both residential homes and also land. But there are definitely more research involved on actually the land versus the home as far as, a resale goes.
So it's not necessarily that you've got to go and work with just a land specialist, but make sure that the agent you're working with, it's not their first rodeo of, oh, sure, I can sell
I can list your piece of property.
Or buy that for you.
Yeah.
Make sure they've got experience doing that before.
Exactly. And so, Amy, if you are thinking about, selling your land, we would love the opportunity to meet with you to give you an idea of what we could list your land for in today's market. A great way to get started with doing that, whether you're selling land or you're selling a home, a residential house, you can text the word listing to the phone number 555-888. So on your smartphone, just text the word listing to the phone number 555-888. But make sure from there you then follow the steps. So we will respond back with a link. Make sure that you click the link and then you input the address of either the land or the home that you're inquiring about selling. And from there, we can give you an idea of what you could list the land for in today's market.
Zach says, a friend was telling me I should sell my home with a real estate agent who charges a flat fee instead of commission. Is there any advantage to doing it that way?
Zach, you have to remember whenever it comes to a flat fee service, or which we like to call discount brokers, a discount fee is a discount service. So that means that you're probably very limited on the type of marketing that they're doing. More than likely, they're putting a cheesy sign out in your front yard and they just list your home in MLS. That's doing nothing for you. You need to find an agent who's going above and beyond. They have several different ways of marketing your home, different selling tactics, because the goal when it comes to listing your home and marketing is to get the most traffic in the door. Reason being, if we are very limited on our marketing, that means our traffic will be very low. That means your days on the market will then be higher. And the higher your days on the market go, the less you will end up getting for your home. So although you think you're saving money, in the long term, your net will actually be less because your days on the market were higher. So, be very cautious about trying to kind of, I don't like to say cheat the system, but to think that you're going the savvy route by going with a discounted fee service, because once again, they offer discounted services.
You've been listening to the Savvy Realtor podcast. I'm Walter Storholt alongside Angie Cole. She's the owner and broker in charge of A. Cole Realty here in the Triangle. And if you have questions for Angie, we invite you to go online to acolerealty.com. Listen to past podcast episodes on the website, read the blog, and all the great information, including the option to find a home right there on the website. That's acolerealty.com. And you can also call Angie with your questions, 919-578-3128.